Hello, my name's Jeremy. I'm Joint Managing Director at HomeFlow. And together with our friends at Property Industry Eye, we have built a market intelligence tool that scans Google in the UK. And it looks at how well different UK estate agency groups rank, both naturally in the organic listings, but also in the paid for listings. And we're going to be exploring that in a series of videos over the coming weeks. However, today's video is an overview of the tool, what it does, how it works, and the kinds of reports it generates. Let's dive in. So first thing we're going to do is explain to you how the crawler itself works, and then we're going to take a look at the three different reports that it generates. In terms of how the crawler operates, basically we take 5,000 town, village, city, district, and postcodes within the UK, and we permutate those, and we multiply them by a bunch of head terms. And the head terms will be things like estate agent in, or letting agent in, or local estate agent, or value my house, or house for sale. We have a whole bunch of terms that we can permutate by. So you end up running hundreds of thousands of searches, and we do that monthly so we can build a picture over time, looking at things like estate agent in Bristol, letting agent in Swindon, letting agent in Brixham, etc., etc. And you have hundreds of them, thousands of them, and you run them monthly. We do that, and this is very important, from anonymous IP addresses, a whopping great big wide set of IP addresses. So we're crawling in the town or in the county that we're querying about. That's really important for optimizing the results. It's basically an industrial scale, properly cleaned up exercise in running searches, town by town, village by village, to look at who's ranking. And then the reports come in three different flavors. And they are the league tables, which look at just the straightforward rankings of how agents operate, the search matrices, which show the balance of the two different types of traffic, and the specific company reports. Let's have a look at the first of those, the league tables. This is the national league table. So this is the most important top-level report. And it just looks at the traffic, or the exposure, moreover, that different estate agency groups and indeed portals, anybody who's getting exposure for those terms in the UK. And what you see at the very top here is Rightmove rank entirely organically, that dark blue bar. And then below them, we have some aggregators who are purchasing a lot of traffic to keep up. And then we have Zoopla. And then you come down into some of the agency groups, and you see for the first time how some large national scale estate agency groups are purchasing traffic. So across those 5,000 locations, we're picking up 190,000 results. And what we're going to do is, in our subsequent video, we're going to deep dive into that table and have a look for you at what the pattern is within it. Now then, the other thing we can do is, obviously that's only interesting if you are a 100 branch agency group covering a large swathe of the UK, or just interested in the overall league tables. It gets relevant for independents and owner-managed businesses and smaller agency groups as we start to drill in county by county. So what I'm going to do here is select Cumbria. And this report here is exactly the same report, but just filtered for Cumbria. And so you can now see the league table of who ranks, in what slots, with what ad copy, and you can see competitors within that. In fact, if we have a closer look at those, we're now only looking at 50 different locations and only 2,000 results. So still a much larger set than you would do manually, but more focused just on Cumbria. Here's the ranking in the league table, and I will explain to you at the end of this video how you can get the same data for your county and your set of local competitors. But what you can see here is you start to get local agency groups like Hackney and Lee and Farrell Hayworth. You start to get the local competitors in the local town, market, or county area that you're analysing. So let's move on now to the search matrices. Now the search matrices balance your exposure on the one hand in natural organic listings with your exposure on the other hand of your pay-per-click or your ads that you're purchasing. And they come out like this, just as a simple 2x2 matrix. And broadly speaking, what you get is, the higher up the chart you are as a bubble, the more aggressively you are buying paid-for traffic and grabbing market share. And the further to the right that you are along the bottom of the chart, the more you're ranking naturally in organic SEO. Now, obviously, your objective is to rank as high as you can naturally and then supplement as much as you can with good return on investment through paid traffic. You still want to buy more traffic incrementally as long as it's positive return on investment. Again, we'll be looking at this in much more detail in a subsequent video. However, you can see that Rightmove win naturally and Zoopla buy some traffic in a bid to keep up. And then all these green dots down here are the different estate agency groups in the UK. Funnily enough, this purple one up here is Purplebricks, and we all know how much traffic they buy and how aggressively they purchase in the market to build market share. It's very impressive as an advertising campaign. However, what we need to do is we need to drill into that data in a little bit more detail to make it useful for estate agents. And that takes us to the second variant of this chart, which is the logarithmic scale version. Essentially, all that's doing is it's making it progressively much, much harder to climb each rung of the ladder. Each division gets harder to scale up. And what that does is it brings Rightmove and Zoopla back into the mix. It brings Purplebricks down, and it explodes all of that estate agency data so you can see who's ranking. And these will all be 5, 3, 2 single branches, independents if they're being aggressive with PPC. You start to see their exposure within Google in more detail. Again, what we can do is we can change some of the parameters. So this chart here, you can see all the portals just lying along the bottom here because this is for estate agency traffic, not for applicant traffic nor vendor traffic. But if we tick that box and add in a little bit of vendor traffic, what you can see is all of a sudden, this is now house for sale. You see Zoopla really steps up to the plate and goes grabbing traffic. And that's the most valuable traffic that you can possibly buy in the UK. And up here, you see some of the aggregators. They are buying traffic and then converting that into leads and sending it on to estate agency groups. And you start to see this dot here, this green dot, that's Hunters Group. Very, very digitally switched on, savvy group out there hunting literally for traffic and building market share for all their branches and offices. Again, this only becomes relevant if you filter it down. So what I'm going to do now is just filter that for Berkshire, and this is the results in Berkshire. And all of a sudden, the results get viscerally interesting. So, for example, if you know Berkshire well, you'll know the fight that goes on between Romans, big powerhouse estate agency brand, Chancellor's, another big regional, strong digital competitor, and Prospect, equally strong. And you just see how they're all vying in and around Zoopla here for the maximum organic and the maximum paid for traffic. And the question, of course, that leaves us with is, where do you rank on this chart? And again, if you send us a quick email, what we're going to do is we're going to help you identify which dot you are, where you sit, who the competitors are around you in your local area, your town, or indeed your county if you're a distributed estate agency group. Turning now to the final report, this is the specific company report, and that partly answers the question that we've just been talking about. This particular one is for leaders, but we do it for every single estate agency group in the UK. And it looks at every single one of your branches, where they're ranking, if they're in top slot, second slot, fourth slot, page 2, wherever they're ranking. And it looks both at your organic performance, but also at your maps performance. And it looks at where you're buying traffic and how you're ranking versus competitors and the mix of your exposure. So you can see this agency here is getting an awful lot of its exposure from paid traffic. Again, very digitally switched on as an agency group. So, in summing up, there are 2 things we'd love you to do. The first is to get your county report, which is free of charge. If you just grab your phone right now and send us a quick email, benchmarking@homeflow.co.uk. What we will do is we will generate your report for you, send it to you, and if you'd like, we can give you a call and chat you through the competitors, who's outranking you, what they're doing to do so, and what you can do to build traffic. So that's the first step. And then the second thing we'd love you to do is to watch out in the links below for our series of videos looking county by county, report by report at that competitive dynamic. And if you'd love to get your company report and get a jump on everybody else and see how you're ranking individually before the videos come out, then just pop us a quick call on that number there and we can get you the report ahead of time. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.